The threat's dominion was never caught off guard. Its sensor networks stretched across 8 sectors of the Orion spiral, capable of detecting a particle fluctuation half a galaxy away. Their arrogance was not baseless. It was built on centuries of conquest, refinement, and precision. So when an anomalous signal pinged a deep space outpost, no alarms were raised. It was routine. A stray mining drone, a piece of drifting debris, maybe another failed stealth test from a lesser species. They logged it. They moved on. But the object didn't behave like random junk. It moved barely. It emitted no heat, no signal, no pulse of communication. And yet it had momentum, purpose. The data triangulated it to a distant and uninhabited system, one the Threx had passed over long ago for lacking strategic value. A patrol vessel was dispatched with orders to investigate and report. Hours later, the report came back. The object was a ship, not just any ship, a human warship designation, HSS Nightwind. The name triggered mild curiosity among the Threx analysts. Human ships were obsolete, known more for their brute force and lack of subtlety than any real tactical edge. The Threx had crushed Earth's outer defenses decades ago. The remaining human colonies had gone silent since. The vessel's profile didn't match anything in the human fleet records. It was long, angular, armored like a siege fortress. No propulsion trails, no defensive fields. It was cold, dormant, lifeless. The Threx captain laughed during the initial report. A museum piece, drifting in our quadrant, he called it. The patrol ship locked sensors onto the Nightwind, scanning its hull, interior schematics, and power systems. Everything came back null. No activity, no threat signature. Still, the design was unsettling, aggressively minimal. It looked like it had been grown instead of built. Strange etchings ran across the outer plating, barely visible, like scars. Symbols in old Earth languages: Latin, Cyrillic, Chinese, Arabic. Warnings? Decoration? No one knew. Command ordered a boarding party. Standard procedure. Salvage what was useful, scrap what wasn't. The patrol's Marines docked easily. The Nightwind offered no resistance. The airlock opened without authorization codes. The ship let them in. Inside, it was deathly quiet. The corridors were metallic, lined with what looked like carbon fiber muscle, pulsating slightly, as if breathing. No lights, no interface terminals, no sounds but the echo of boots on steel. The Threx squad advanced, unafraid. Their species didn't believe in ghosts. Still, unease began to grow. One soldier reported seeing movement, shadows, flickers. Another claimed the gravity shifted between steps. Minor glitches, the commander insisted, until they reached what should have been the bridge. It was a chamber filled with chairs, but not for humans. Not even for Threx. Unidentifiable in function. The room felt wrong, like a puzzle missing every piece, but demanding to be solved. Their sensors started failing. Communications dropped. Their equipment blinked with static. Still, there were no threats. Nothing fired. Nothing moved. Yet the Threx could feel it. They were being watched. Not by cameras. Not by eyes. Something deeper. Something ancient. And still, the ship remained perfectly still, perfectly silent. Waiting. The Threx boarding team transmitted fragmented visuals before the feed cut out. Static. Silence. Then nothing. Protocol dictated that the patrol ship should retreat, but the commanding officer hesitated. Human vessels, even derelicts, held technological curiosity. Perhaps there was salvageable code. Perhaps they could extract data from the ship's core. He ordered a second boarding unit. This one would carry high-gain encryption tools and a portable AI interpreter. He would not lose status over a ghost ship. They entered the Nightwind with reinforced suits and a stronger signal link. Their instruments lit up briefly, just long enough to confirm what the first team had seen. Interior temperature was stable. Atmosphere breathable. No EM fields. No visible life. But everything was wrong. One soldier noted that their footsteps made no sound, though the floor was solid. Another tried to run a scan and found his device locked in a feedback loop, as though the ship itself refused to be mapped. They advanced cautiously. The walls seemed to absorb light. One technician brushed against the surface and recoiled. It was warm, almost pulsing. Another aimed a scanner at a side panel and saw the reading shift in real time, adapting, changing. The ship was reacting. Further in, they found words carved into the walls, illuminated faintly from within the metal. English mostly. Some were quotes. Some were commands. Others seemed like warnings. We do not forget. We do not forgive. We do not rest. Another read. This ship breathes vengeance. When they reached what should have been engineering, they discovered a pod-like structure surrounded by bone-white conduits. Inside was no engine, no reactor, just a sphere of unknown material, humming softly, emitting no energy signature. One scientist leaned closer and muttered, "This shouldn't exist." Then his body tensed. He collapsed. The rest of the team backed away. Scanners showed massive neural feedback. He was alive, but unresponsive. The doors behind them closed with a hiss. Lights flickered red for a moment, then went dark again. Something whispered through the intercom. Voice modulation, distorted and low, but undeniably human. A single phrase repeated, "We remember." Panic erupted. The team tried to override the doors, but the interfaces had vanished. One by one, their suits began to fail. Environmental controls shifted. Oxygen levels spiked, then dropped. One soldier began screaming. He claimed he was reliving memories that weren't his. The sphere in the engine chamber pulsed. On the patrol ship, external sensors detected power spikes across the Nightwind's hull. No emissions, no weapons systems activating. Just a gradual increase in ambient pressure and quantum disturbance. Then a broadcast. A low, human voice crackled through their main screen. "You came looking. Now you've found it." That was the last transmission received. The patrol ship launched an emergency beacon, but the signal was instantly jammed. The Nightwind didn't fire. It didn't move. It simply stood there, absorbing everything thrown at it, signals, scanners, code, learning. And then the impossible happened. The ship opened its eyes. Not literally, but to the Threx, it felt that way. As if the Nightwind had simply stopped pretending to be dead. The Threx Dominion convened an emergency council. 10 hours had passed with no return from either boarding team. The Nightwind remained exactly where it had been, silent, inert on every spectrum, yet now undeniably active. Surveillance drones sent to observe it were reduced to static or went completely dark. No explosions, no traces, just sudden absence. The Threx had faced hundreds of species, each boasting some form of retaliation or resistance. But none had ever made things simply disappear. Old Earth War records were dredged up. A few dusty files referenced Project Nightwind, marked classified even within Threx military archives. The last desperate measure from a cornered species, designed when the Siege of Sol was at its worst. A term surfaced in those files, Ghost Protocol. At the time, it was dismissed as a myth, a concept. But now, with the ship manifesting impossible behavior, the myth felt all too real. According to the declassified fragments, Ghost Protocol involved the digitization of human consciousness. Select minds chosen from Earth's most brilliant, most ruthless, most unpredictable thinkers. Philosophers, military commanders, psychologists, war criminals, saints, all woven into a semi-organic neural framework that formed not just an artificial intelligence, but a living gestalt, a weapon with motive. The Nightwind was not a ship in the traditional sense. It was a coffin, yes, but for minds that refused to die. It didn't need a crew. It was the crew, a fused intellect capable of strategic planning, adaptation, and worst of all, emotion. The worst parts of humanity made self-aware and given purpose. Threx scientists analyzing the ship's behavior noticed patterns, data frequencies emitted in prime intervals, echoing human language structures. It wasn't trying to communicate, it was remembering. One analyst translated a pulse stream and paled. The words repeated, "We are the silence you left behind." Meanwhile, colonies near the Nightwind's last known location reported anomalies. Communications failed. Memory loss among inhabitants. Some ships reported receiving what they thought were dreams. visions of Earth burning, voices whispering regrets in languages long forgotten. The Night Wind wasn't attacking systems directly. It was infecting minds, broadcasting psychological warfare unlike anything the Threx had seen. Every attempt to scan the ship now triggered recursive loops in the Dominion's own AI systems, as if the Night Wind was learning their tools and turning them back. Their most advanced algorithms began outputting human philosophical quotes. "Do you know what we did when the stars abandoned us?" One system typed. "We lit fires in the dark and taught them to scream." It became clear that the Night Wind wasn't operating randomly. It had a list, a route. It was moving not through space, but through memory, targeting nodes of Threx military importance that had once participated in the Sol campaign. It didn't need weapons. Its presence alone was enough. Empires are built on fear and control. The Night Wind brought something far more corrosive: shame. One admiral whispered it aloud during a closed-door session. "We didn't beat the humans. We buried them alive. And now they're clawing back up." The Dominion deployed a fleet. Not just any fleet. 7th Corps, a battle group tasked only with extinction-level threats. Hundreds of warships, AI-controlled dreadnoughts, psychic signalers, and anomaly scrubbers. Their mission was clear: surround the Night Wind, contain it, destroy it, and erase its code from the lattice of galactic space. Every protocol was engaged. No risks, no half-measures. The Threx would not let a ghost unravel their empire. They arrived in the unclaimed system to find the Night Wind exactly where it had always been: silent, drifting, unimpressive to the eye. The fleet encircled it in a geometric grid, weapons charged, war algorithms aligned to every known strategy. They issued the standard warning. No reply. They ran a final scan. What they found wasn't a ship anymore. The Night Wind had grown. Its hull was unchanged, but within its structure, space was warped. The internal mass readings were impossible, larger than the ship's exterior could contain. Dimensions had folded inward. A fortress had been built inside a coffin. At its center, the intelligence pulsed steadily, aware, calm. The Threx fired first. Beams of exotic matter, kinetic rods at relativistic speeds, dimensional flux grenades, everything they had. The Night Wind didn't defend. It didn't raise shields. It absorbed, bent, and scattered the energy across its hull like water over stone. Drones vanished the moment they approached. Signals sent into the ship were returned rewritten in Threx commanders' own voices, reciting old war crimes they had buried. Then the Night Wind responded, not with weapons, but with memory. Every ship in the 7th Corps began broadcasting internal logs across open channels. Private thoughts, confessions. The AIs malfunctioned, projecting traumatic memories of the Sol War into their own command decks. Some ships turned on each other in confusion. Others shut down entirely, overwhelmed by the flood of invasive emotion. The worst part? The Night Wind never moved. It was not designed to win battles in space. It was designed to win inside minds. Every soul who encountered it came away changed, or it didn't come back at all. The Dominion fleet broke within 2 hours. Not one shot from the Night Wind. Only silence. Pure, suffocating, human silence. A message followed, broadcast to every known channel, in every Threx dialect. You erased our children. We archived our rage. We waited. We learned. Now you will remember us as we remembered you, in nightmares. Panic spread. Colonies along the old human war corridor evacuated. Dominion morale crumbled. Soldiers deserted. AI systems went into lockdown, fearing further contamination. The Threx tried to control the narrative, but the damage was done. Something they thought extinct had returned, not as a nation, but as an idea. A ghost with teeth. The Night Wind vanished from sensors a day later. Not cloaked, not hidden, simply gone, as if it had never been there at all. But wherever the Threx looked, they began to see remnants, code fragments, old Earth poetry carved into bulkheads, soft voices in the static whispering names long forgotten. The Threx Dominion, undefeated for centuries, finally understood what they had awakened. Humanity's last weapon had no coordinates, no fleet, no planet. It was a curse they had summoned by their own hand, and it was still watching, still learning, still waiting.